Alt beer grain to glass video. This was brewed with my fresh hops from my garden on Hop Harvest Day. Nice. And I also thought we should discuss what is an alt beer, maybe some history about alt beer in one video. Yeah, let's kick it. I'm Dr. Hans. This is Chewy, my friend. This is Dr. Hans Brewery, my channel about beer and homebrewing. So, before we dive into this one, you can download the recipe on my Buy Me a Beer page, of course free of charge. And this beer was brewed with Angel Yeast A01, American Ale yeast. You know, you're gonna type a nasty comment now. You brewed an German ale with an American yeast, but this is clean ale yeast. But I brewed with this one before and I've done some comparison videos with other yeasts. I will link down below to everything. I also used Angel Yeast Brew NutriZ, yeast nutrients. Always treat your yeast. And of course, a big shout out to Angel Yeast for sponsoring this video. I will link down below to Angel Yeast brewing product page so you can check out all their brewing products. Nice. Before we dive in, I'm losing head here, yeah, buy the t-shirt and all that. But we will of course run through the recipe, fermentation, the numbers and yada yada. Let's check out the brewing footage.
Shadow in the dark left me with a burning heart. Summer comes and goes, they say, but with you, darling, it only stays. As sure as a new sunrise, forever in your lane. Evening river walks, the sun is low but it's not lost. We got time to waste tonight. Let's find a place for only you and I. As sure as a new sunrise, and as white as the moon is at night, as sure as a new sunrise, forever in your life. Sunrise, forever in your life. Evening river walks, the sun is low but it's not lost. We got time to waste tonight. Let's find a place for only you and I. As sure as a new sunrise, and as white as the moon is at night, as sure as a new sunrise, forever in your life.
There you had some beautiful brewing footage. We're gonna run through everything here in this video, but now we need to dive in to give this a spin. I wanted to brew something malty, something fairly simple on the hop side because I just want to use my own hops. I did use some older hops also, you might have seen in that video, but we'll get into that. I need to dive in. Cheers, Alt beer. And this is the traditional glass serving Alt beer. This is a Stange, the same beer glass that you would serve a Kölsch in. If you want more about Kölsch and Cologne, I have a video down below where I visited Cologne and tried to taste as much Kölsch as possible. Alt beer is, on the other hand, from Düsseldorf, which is not far from Köln. But more about Alt beer, Kölsch, Germany and everything later on in the video. Now we need to dive in. Cheers. Clean fermented, thanks to the AO1. I did not hit my numbers, so we have a little bit lower ABV beer than I was aiming for, but it should still be to style. Really nice and malty. It's not really like super clear, but it started to clear up nicely, and it has a really nice color to it. I did add quite a lot of Caro Red into this. It's malty, has a slight caramel note to it. It has those like traditional noble hops character to it. I have tried this before for patrons and channel members, but now it's down to temperature. When I tried it for you, it was way too hot, so it's much easier now to get a sense for how you would actually be served a beer like this. And I will do a separate BS video after this. Thank you so much. The only problem I have with this glass is that they are so small. And the beer is guarded now by this monster of a dog. Whilst I look for the recipe here on my phone and maybe also see if I can fill up this glass, you can watch the Dr. Hans Freak Show and learn more about Alt beer. Over to the Cartoon Doctor. No, I said watch the Cartoon Doctor. Here you go. Go ahead.
Embrace the madness where the beers flow. Welcome to the Dr. Hans Freak Show.
What's brewing, bitches? Welcome to yet another frothing episode of the Dr. Hans Freak Show. Today, my trusty sidekick Tiggy are taking you on a wild ride through the world of Alt beer. Alt beer is one of the oldest German beer styles around, and we're headed to its hometown, Düsseldorf. Hop in, Tiggy. It's time to take off in style. Nothing like flying through the German countryside. Did you know that Alt beer means old beer in German? But don't let that fool you. It's a timeless classic. Here we are, Düsseldorf, home of the mighty Alt beer. This is where tradition beats out trends. Alt beer stuck with its top fermenting ale yeast even when lagers were taking over in the 19th century. Alt beer has been around for centuries. It is brewed with ale yeast but at cooler temperature. This creates a clean, crisp beer with a malty backbone, perfectly balanced. Now, there's another beer just down the road, Kölsch from Cologne. And let me tell you, there's been a rivalry brewing between these two cities for centuries. On one side, you got the Alt beer, the malty heavyweight with tradition in every sip. And on the other side, there's Kölsch, light and crisp ale that's always trying to act like a lager. Good question, Tiggy. If you are in Düsseldorf, it's Alt beer all day long, but don't try ordering an Alt beer in Cologne. They might escort you straight out of the pub for that. So what makes a great Alt beer? It's all about balance. Munich malt and Vienna malt give it that rich malty sweetness, while noble hops bring just enough bitterness to keep things interesting. Alt beer is traditionally served in these tall, narrow Stange glasses. They help keep the head intact and bring out that malty aroma. It's the perfect glass for a perfect balanced beer. And there you have it, the story of Alt beer. A beer that's kept its roots and still holds its own today. If you're looking for a beer with tradition and flavor, Alt beer is your go-to. Now, let's get brewing. Thanks for joining us on this Alt beer adventure, freaks. Until next time, keep brewing, stay freaky, and remember, there's always something brewing at the Dr. Hans Brewery. Prost!
Until next pour where wonders grow. Farewell from the Dr. Hans Freak Show.
If I'm bleeding, it's Chewy scratch me. But I hope you had a good time watching the Cartoon Doctor. And I successfully filled up my glass and I found the recipe. So first off, I was aiming for a little bit higher ABV. I still got 1045. The problem was my crush. I have something that I need to confess to you. I've tried to make a lot of beautiful brewing videos, but the truth is I'm running around like a madman. I'm filming, I'm brewing, burning through fuses, water spraying everywhere. It's total madness, but somehow I seem to at least be able to struggle through the brew day. But it's a lot of work doing all grain. That's why you see my channel also like to experiment with other methods, because a lot of those experiments can also be applied for all grain brewing. Just don't take the entire day. So I had a problem with my crush. It was too coarse. I should have double crushed it. I need to fix my mill until next brew day. But I decided to move on, and there's why I got a little lower original gravity. I got 1045. Brewfather says maybe something like 1053. But if we 1045 is okay. We will end up with a decent beer. But if you're looking at the recipe, you should instead look at the percentage more than the amount, and use your own brew house efficiency. It will be better for this one, I think. That was the Angel share. Another Angel yeast that have been recommended for brewing really clean ales is the CN36 also. A1 worked great. You can find that, maybe the CN36. Of course, there are other manufacturers. Okay, look for clean ale yeast. It was a quite big batch, and I split that up into 3 vessels. I have a 9-liter vessel here. I have a, what's that, like 5-liter vessel here, and I have the big kegmenter in here. So there will be upcoming videos, experiment videos, and all grain in the Agolo, and more stuff to come. That does not mean that you should subscribe to my channel. Of course, my channel sucks. So please go and subscribe to someone else's instead and do them that favor. I kind of like my channel not being too big, so keeping it family style here. So this is for like a 63-liter batch, this recipe, which you downloaded. I used 5.35 kilos. Yes, and a good doctor will convert everything into birds and stones. Thank you. Or about 42%. Rounding up the numbers here if the math doesn't count. 4.36 kilo Munich malt. And you might think, why did you choose those malts and everything? I can see these are empty now. I'll try to brew up to get rid of stuff so I can buy some more malt. So that's why this grain bill looks the way it does. I also used just under 2 kilos of wheat malt, about 15%. The Munich was 34.5%, and I used a kilo of Carry Red. That's a lot, about 8%. After done some reading on the Carry Red, people often say that you don't get the color that you think you are getting if you don't add a lot. Maybe you can see it a little better like that. Wow. It's not really red, but it has a nice, like, light red brownish color. It's a really good beer, promise you. Try to brew it. Also, I had brewed that with other type of yeast, so comparison videos to follow. I love those stuff. Split batches is one of my favorite things to do. I mashed this for an hour around 67 Celsius. Then I took it up to 76 Celsius. Gave it a 10 minutes rest there before I started to spart. And as I was brewing fuses, I had to spart with cold water. And yes, you can spart with cold water. Let me know if you want me to do a video about that, because I heard some real madness about people and sparging. But this was the first time I brewed at this place. I couldn't both power my big brewing system and my sparge water heater. Brew day must go on. Then this was brought to a boil, and at 60 minutes I added some old Hallertau Mittelfrühe hops from my freezer, which was from an old harvest from the same plant, my Hallertau Mittelfrühe plant, which was the same that I harvested on this brew day. At 10-15 minutes left of the boil, I added yeast nutrient, brew NutriZed, and I did add some Irish moss. Could add Protafloc or skip the fining or wherever. I had some at home, so I used that. At 5 minutes left of the boil, and yeah, you might have seen that I actually used the grain basket as a hop spider because these hops take a lot of place. So that works, but keep an eye on the area between the grain basket and the brew kettle because you can have boil over there. So keep an eye on that. Don't leave and go and pick up memory cards and stuff for your camera. Listen to the doctor. 5 minutes left. I added all of the hops because I want this beer to be about my hops. It's something else to brew with your own hops. I wanted for that to make an impact. This is a German noble hop, so it doesn't take so much place like if you would you add some American hops, but that wouldn't be the style either. So, and I didn't want to brew exact like the same thing I did last year with my harvested hops, which actually is one of the best lagers I ever brewed. I will link down below to that bottom. Or maybe I could put like a card here. I don't really like to do that, but if the editing doctor can find the editing doctor, my hero.
That's right, bitches! Going up a stop!
And then after the 60 minutes was up, I had to MacGyver some shit to get the cooling started. And I chilled the water down and pitched this into 3 different vessels. So we have the 9-liter mini keg here with the AO1. We have here with another yeast, I won't mention this here, all grain in Agullo. And we have in the Kegmantle also for upcoming videos and done some other tricks to that. I do love doing split batches, so videos to follow. This was fermented under pressure. I started around 20 psi. Editing doctor from the future back again to save the day. The brewing doctor clearly doesn't know his number, so let me run you through the fermentation of the alt beer. This beer was fermented under pressure. I started this at 18 C at 20 psi-ish. Hold it there for 2 days, then I started ramping up the temperature. I ended at 23 Celsius. I could have pushed this hotter as this was fermenting under pressure, but normally you would ferment a Kölsch and an alt beer colder, even if it's in ale yeast. And this yeast is recommended from 15 to 25 C. So find a ale yeast that can ferment cold, and 15 C is cold for ales. Back to the brewing doctor. This was temperature controlled by my no fridge method. Video link down below. Check it out. You don't need a fridge. You might need if you want to cool down your beer, but you don't need a fridge to temperature control your beer as long as you pick your right yeast. Did I wreck the video? Oh. This has been sitting actually outside in the autumn weather conditioning. I tried it yesterday and it was really nice, but it was really hot. I think we had like 13 Celsius yesterday, so I had put it in the fridge here. This is a Kieser to cool down overnight, and now it's more to style. You wouldn't drink this beer at 13 degrees Celsius. This would be served cold. Let's run through the numbers. The OG on this beer was 1045. That was not what I planned, but this was what I got. And this fermented down to 1012, which is a little higher than I expected actually, but I used like, what was it, 9% of Cara Red, so yeah, that would be the villain for that, but I ended up with a really nice beer. This fermented down to, I already said that, so that would be like a 4.3% beer, which means you can have a lot of them. Nice. Brewing an alt beer or Kölsch can be a really good alternative to brewing a lager, and I hope I got you inspired in this video. If you want to see the A1 in another action video, well, check out this video. Cheers and thank you so much for watching. Dr. Hans out. You have anything to add, Chewy? No, not so much.